The holidays are a time to feel and create joy. And what could be more joyous than the look on her face as she unwraps a stunning new jewelry piece from Blue Nile? How about getting 50% off your purchase? Blue Nile offers premium quality, priced below traditional retail. Their online experts are available 24/7 to answer any questions and make sure you've picked the perfect gift. For a limited time, you can get 50% off at BlueNile.com. That's 50% off at BlueNile.com.
Reboot your credit card with Apple Card, the credit card created by Apple. It gives you unlimited daily cash back that you can now choose to grow in a high-yield savings account that's built right into the Wallet app. Apply for Apple Card now in the Wallet app on iPhone and start growing your daily cash with savings today. Apple Card subject to credit approval. Savings is available to Apple Card owners subject to eligibility requirements. Savings accounts provided by Goldman Sachs Bank USA. Member FDIC. Terms apply.
Saturday. Christmas comes early.
Unbelievable! Welcome to this incredible scene.
Bills.
To the end zone!
Chargers.
It's a touchdown!
An exclusive NFL game.
That's fantastic!
Live in primetime.
Wow!
Only on Peacock.
With a Christmas gift to their fans. They're having some fun now.
Bills versus Chargers. Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Exclusively on Peacock.
'Tis the season to shine with H&M. Discover the holiday collection and find fashionable pieces for your wardrobe or for under the tree. Get inspired and dazzle with this year's glam. From tuxedo styles, bow detailed pieces, impressive prints, and more. From unforgettable looks to unforgettable gifts. With fashion finds to home decor, find it all at H&M. Treat your loved ones and yourself this season. Shop in-store or at hm.com.
All right, this is actually my second attempt at this today. With me, I have Zach Reget. We're at the world-famous Kansas City Soccer Dome, as Eric would say. How are you doing today, Zach?
Good, really good.
To start off, we kind of already talked about this a little bit, but a really crazy February for you, man. Trade, Kansas City futsal team, games against your own team, your old team. Just how much of a roller coaster ride was that for you?
Yeah, a roller coaster is probably an understatement. I mean, I'm still kind of gathering everything that's happened in this month, and hopefully it'll finally start to die down here, and I'll be able to reflect and finally just get back to being myself. When the first trade went, when I went from Florida to Harrisburg, that one was the biggest shock for me personally, and I think for my teammates as well. Me and my teammates have a great relationship, I'd say, from 1 to 30 or whoever it is. We were all pretty shocked. We had, just to give you a little background, we had about 8 games in 21 days, and I think our first loss was against Ontario, in Ontario. And from there, even at halftime, our talks as a team, it was pretty negative. Our leadership kind of took a back seat and kind of walked out on us at halftime, and then we had to kind of figure out ourselves and just try to how can we get through this game. I think we were down 1-0 at the time. Anyways, from that point on, there were some captains meetings with the coaches, about 1 or 2, just more situations for him or for whoever it is to more vent and have us be ears for him. And a lot of things took place. So then we had the Chihuahua game, and then the Milwaukee series, and we had a couple losses in between there. I think we played Harrisburg and had a win in there too as well. But in general, the dynamic of the locker room got pretty pins and needles, I would say, from the people upstairs, and it ended up, a lot of people were not arguing in training, but everyone's stressed out because their boss is, saying, hey, things are going to change. So we had a meeting after the, I think it was Chihuahua, yeah. After the Chihuahua game, after the game, he was like, okay, we're going to have film and a meeting. Player personnel is going to change. So a couple days later, we had a meeting, and in between that time, me and the other captain had other conversations with the coaches about, game plan, personnel, what we think, what he thinks, very inner circle conversations. And after the meeting, he called four of my teammates into his office individually, and this was before the Milwaukee series, so probably before the Milwaukee series, after the Chihuahua game, and we watched film, and not the people that are there the whole time are there. The flying players aren't there yet, and he just gave those 4 guys options. He said, you guys can either go to per game, you can keep your salary, or you can get released or traded. So these guys are in limbo for a good week. The team's in limbo. No one really knows kind of what the hell's going on, who's on the team, who's not on the team. Some of them said, if per game's it, I'll do it. I'm pretty sure Taylor agreed to per game. I think he's the only one that agreed to per game because, he just moved from San Diego. He still has a lease in San Diego. His girlfriend has a great job. She came here. Just a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
So for him, it was like, with what's given to me, I guess I'll go to per game. So he said yes to that. A couple of guys said, no. Some guys said, shop me. Some, everyone had their own answer, and I was not in that group. Meanwhile, when this is all going on, I'm texting my teammates that got called in, like, hey, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I've talked to him, just keep doing you. I don't know the logistics right now, but everyone's happy with how you're performing. No one's sleeping at this time, even the people that are not called in, because every meeting is personnel's going to change. It's more of a threat, which is very difficult to keep performing or staying together as a quote-unquote family, because, if your boss comes in and starts putting that pressure on you guys, you're going to not turn on each other, but, emotions are going to come out a lot.
Right.
And so that meeting took place, and that week, a couple of them are at training, a couple of them aren't, and now we're going to play Milwaukee. So that happened early in the week. We got to go play Milwaukee. We don't know who's on the team. We don't know out of those 4 or 5 guys what's going on, and no one really wants to ask too many questions because, it's just a stressful environment. So it's kind of more everyone put their head down, focus on yourself, and, just don't stir the pot too much, and the Milwaukee series comes. We have a different roster, I would say, and, we didn't get the results we wanted. I think that I didn't have any goals that game or that series. Or that series, and then we had on Monday or something like that when we got back. I know he had a conversation with one of the guys. He called in and said, "Hey, we're going to trade you to Harrisburg," and he said no. He said, "Well, they can pay me X amount of dollars, or I'm not going. I have my family here. We're not going there. We can't.
Right.
We literally can't." In regards to pay, it's a part-time job. And a lot of owners and coaches like to, act like it's a full-time job when it's convenient, act like a part-time job when it's not. And, so he gave someone the respect in that conversation, right? And he said, "Listen, I'm going to trade you there." And he said no. So next thing you know, we had training. It's being labeled a physical altercation that happened in training, but anyone that knows sports knows that these things happen in practice, in games, or whatever. So what happened is we had training. The same player hit me in the face 3 times on different occasions. I'm not saying it was malicious, right? We're just playing. Legs are heavy,
right?
Whatever. Listen, me and this guy still love each other, and it was over. Snap of the finger. So what happened was he hit me in the face, nothing was said, and then, 2 minutes later, same play, same guy got me in the face. I'm talking, we're not talking about a little love tap. We're swinging our arms, I get it. And then I'm like, okay, he hit me twice, hasn't said anything. It's still my teammate. We're at practice, right? If I hit someone, I'd be like, "Oh, my bad," or I'm be like, "You're soft," something joking like you're soft, and then pat you on the ass or something, Meanwhile, I just explained the culture. Everyone's on pins and needles with everything going on. So the third time he gets me in the face, and then he's shielding me, and he flings his arm back, and I push him in the back, and I'm like, dude, stop hitting me in the face.
Yeah.
And he turned and kind of squared me up, like, to fight. I mean,
right.
I don't think he was going to fight, but that was probably his first reaction. And now my first reaction in my head is, 1-2 Mike Tyson combo, but that's obviously not going to happen. It's my teammate. So we get into, a little wrestling match, and this probably lasted 6 seconds, and this was it. I walked off the field. He stayed on the field. We came back 6 minutes later, shook hands. We both apologized to each other. Normal practice. Yeah, and there was no punches thrown, nothing crazy, no crazy F-bombs even. It was more just, you feel better? I feel better. All right, you want to go get lunch or something type thing. No one even batted an eye towards it, right? So I'm going to tell the full truth, on this thing. So that's where that physical altercation label, that's the only time anything's ever happened. And this year, every year on that team, there's always been an altercation, usually bigger than the one that was just taking place. But for some reason, this one got highlighted. And now, 2 hours later after training, I get a call from the head coach. Super robotic, super unhumane, super just, hey, your rights are with Harrisburg. You've been traded, sounded like a voicemail. And, I'm talking on the phone, and I'm like, hello? Like, hello, is this a robot? Like, there's a human here. Yeah. Like, can we talk? Meanwhile, I'm shaking because in this conversation, this is from left field. He called me, and he's like, yo, you're traded to Harrisburg, XYZ. And I just said right there, I said, listen, I'm going to have to call you back because I might say something I don't want to say to you right now because I'm shaking. I just took pre-workout, I'm in my car, I'm about to go get lifted. Now I'm sitting here like, what just happened? And in the meantime, some background, I'm in these conversations of, who should we get rid of? Who's hurting the team? Who will better the team? I'm on the inner circle. I'm a captain of your team. Right. So it's very rare you trade a captain. So to the public, first thing is, what did this guy do? What did he do? Something happened. What did he do? So in that same phone call, before I hang up, I said, Clay, because at the time, you're telling me you're trading me because I'm not performing. That was the, I won't just say Clay, I won't label it, but the organization said, you're not performing enough. Other people's top scorers are scoring 5 goals a game. You're not scoring 5 goals a game. And that is that is literally, I think that they were putting me up with Ian, and Ian just had a 5-goal game or something. If you told me I need to score 5 goals a game, that's probably something you should tell that person. And
I'm just interject. That's a little unrealistic. Nobody scores 5 goals a game.
And I'm not someone to, I could give a rat's ass about points. It's great for an individual. It's great to help win the game, right? But I'm not going to be, other people can talk about my success. I'm not going to bang, 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 this is what I've done. But when I'm talking to you and I don't have an agent and you're saying that I'm not performing, okay, well, for 4 years I've been top 2 in points for you. I play man down and power play, 6-techer defense and offense. So I don't want to get into those things, but you got to give me a real reason here. And even this season, playoffs, I said, listen, I was a big part of the playoffs, and he said, well, that was last year. And I'm like, I don't know. In my head, I'm like, okay, if this is where our minds are at, I don't know how I'm going to have a normal conversation. So even this year, I'm like, dude, I'm top 2 again in points. I have our goals. What happened? What is going on? What is it? And he just said, you're not performing enough if you're going to be our top scorer. And then I literally even tried to give them an out because I'm shaking at the time. This doesn't make sense to me still. So I'm like, listen, is this because of training? Is this because of the little tussle that happened? Yeah. Because that makes sense to me. That it does. It's not right, because if anyone saw what happened and after the fact, it was literally like 2 brothers, real quick tussle, and we're done. Okay, cool. Now we're hugging and whatever. So is this what happened? Is this it? And he's like, no, this was done before training. So that made me have to hang up because, okay, now this was done before training. 2 days ago, we were at my family's house. We cooked. Like, I'm trying to bring the team together. I'm trying to do my job as a captain. Even before I was a captain, we would eat at my mom's house, type things. Like, just bring that culture together because it's been a crazy time. So for them to say it was a performance issue, I was not just thrown off, but I was a little upset because of, like, listen, if you don't score 0 goals or 5 goals, the one thing that can never change is your heart, your consistency, your discipline, and the little attention to details. And then you score some goals, fantastic, right? That's what separates a role player from, I don't know, a championship player. I don't know. But the things inside you can never change. And for me, and you can ask my teammates, they'll hear this and they'll be like, yeah, I mean, this is like, I tell everyone the story. I'm like, listen, I'm naked here. You guys can ask me whatever questions you want. We were all blindsided. I have all good relationships with everyone there except for the 2 people running the show. And that wasn't until this happened. I mean, I told Clay even when it happened, I was just like, man, like, I looked, of course we butt heads a little bit, just like everyone, but, like, yeah, you've been my head coach for 4 years. I'm kind of thrown off, like, why did I get a double standard? Why didn't you tell me you were trading me before you traded me?
Yeah.
And like you did with the other people. Or my main problem was, you just had a meeting last week about who is on the trade block. Why didn't you say my name? And he said, Zach, I didn't think you could handle it. I didn't think you could handle that news. And that ticked me off because let's just put the facts out there. I just re-signed. You named me captain. And now you're telling me, you're having conversations with me in captain's meetings on my thoughts, your thoughts, open table, right? And then you're gonna, when it comes to my job, or if you have something wrong with how I'm performing or whatever, you double standard me. You didn't keep me out because you thought I couldn't handle the information. So if you look at me as a child, don't make me your captain just to have me resign here, just because I wanted to be a captain. I told him I want to be a captain if everyone respects that. Don't just give that to me. And my teammates look at me like that. But if you still look at me as a kid, because if you're withholding that information and then you blindside trade me, you should tell me that information. And if I react wrong, that's where you wipe your hands clean and say, hey, Zach didn't handle that correctly. It's time for him to go. Or if I did handle it correctly, it's a conversation. He knew that with the information that was going to be given to me, I wanted a conversation. I'm not going to just say, yes, coach. I'm going to say, well, what do you mean? Not disrespectfully, but let's have a conversation, and I want to know why you guys think that. Because in my eyes, I'm taking deep breaths. I'm trying to lead and not have everything because I'm a person that my emotions are on my sleeve. It's gotten me in trouble. It's gotten me good things. It's just who I am. And a lot of people respect that because, I'm not really a BSer. So I think that he wasn't looking forward to that conversation because, again, me saying I'm not performing is a little out there, given the facts. And, in regards to even the meeting about the 4 guys going in and keeping me out, I mean, even that next week, the guy you were going to trade there said, no, next thing you do is you call Harrisburg and tell them I want to go. Yeah. He told them I want to go. So my phone call with him was not, hey, will you go to Harrisburg? It's, you are a Harrisburg Heat player. And that's not right. That's not right. If you would have told me, Zach, we're looking to trade you, the Heat, I would have said, okay, well, I'm not going to go to the Harrisburg Heat. And now we're not in this big predicament. Because at the same time, Harrisburg Heat was a victim.
Right. Just
like me. Because in their eyes, they thought they just got a happy and willing Zach to come to Harrisburg
and score 5 goals a game.
And to score 5 goals a game and just be a big focal point for them, right, with Taylor. So that upset me because now I have to have phone calls with Harrisburg saying, listen, it's just mentally, XYZ. He's a grown man with power, spoke for me, told you that I would come, and now we have to have these negative conversations, and he gets to wipe his hands clean because he got what he wanted. But now at the end of the day, I mean, this was a huge storm, not just for me, but for Taylor, for the guys that were traded from here. I mean, this all stemmed from that decision. And like I said, it's a blessing in disguise, but I'm just telling the story. I mean, from that day till probably a couple days ago, I mean, from a standpoint of healthiness, like, I mean, I've lost 10 pounds. I wasn't eating. I mean, I was on the phone for 4 or 5 days straight with the commissioner, with Harrisburg, with family, just venting. I mean, I live and breathe this. Like, this is a lot of people have other jobs. This is me until at least I'm 30. Like, I just want to play soccer, right? And, I mean, just a little background so people don't think, these are just my thoughts. I mean, half of my teammates, these are grown men with quote-unquote, stereotypical egos or whatever.
Right.
These are grown men crying because of what happened. And not just for a day or not superficial, but, I mean, 2 of my closest teammates, they're defenders. I'm not going to say their names, but, I mean, they were crying. I've never seen them cry, and then to have it be over another man and not over like their wife. I mean, of course they'd cry over that,
right.
but I mean, at the end of the day, it's a game. You'd usually be like, hey, Zach, good luck. I love you. This sucks. Hopefully we play again soon. But this was more like man, I don't know why they did this to you, or I don't know why they went this way about it, because now it's like multiple players are there, and it's like, this is how I explain it to some people. And for me, when I was a captain there, in the off season, I told him, I was like, listen, the culture that this has been, I don't think we should have flying players. I think it should be, whoever's at training, trains, plays, boom. And that's how it goes. And obviously 1 or 2, whatever, but I told him in the off season, like, hey, what's your culture going to look like going into this year? Because that's what I'm really basing my decision off of. What's your culture going to look like? Because for me, we've made it to this spot for 3 or 4 years in the playoffs, whether that's a quarterfinal or a final. We've always made it there. So what's the details, the small details that we need to get fixed so that we can get over this hump? And whatever was said, but just for it not to take place, and then for how the culture was, it's like you telling a pastor to, hey, go preach about this religion, but that pastor doesn't believe in it. So imagine, having a pastor preach to you, but he doesn't even believe in what he's telling you. So as a captain, you're supposed to be an extension of your head coach. And, I did that from point A to point Z. I tried doing that until the trade went down, obviously. So just for everything, how it went down, the double standard, the talk to players, but then for me, you're going to talk for me. And you sent me to Harrisburg, not because that was the only team that wanted me. You sent me to Harrisburg because you looked at the schedule. You saw they had 1 win, and you were scared that you didn't want to see me the rest of this year, because you knew what this was going to do to me. And you know who I am as a player and as a person. So I'm a very chill. I can get along with anyone. I can hang out with anyone. Very chill. But once something switches, it's guerrilla mode. It's, competitive fire. It's motivation. I mean, so for that, for how that all went down, and if I could have respected, Zach, we're going to trade you here, a little communication, just like how you treat everyone else. That's all I want. Treat me like you're treating everyone else. Don't double standard me. And then none of this would have got ugly. But you sent me to Harrisburg because they had 1 win. You had 1 game against them left in the season. You put in that contract that I could not play against you.
Did not know that.
There you go. This is when the Heat played Florida, and Florida had another game, I don't know, that weekend. So this is on the contract. So not only did they send me to Harrisburg, they took out all revenge I could have against them for the 1 game. Because let's be honest, I mean, I've been going for a championship, a ring, this and that. No disrespect to those guys, but just look at the table. It's going to be a lot harder there than where I am. And not only am I just here, I'm not a role player, I'm supposed to be one of your guys. And I'm your youngest guy in the core. I'm the youngest guy in your core, and you decide to get rid of me. Fine. But again, the double standard, this sent me to the Heat. I know I was just a free agent this summer. Kansas City, I know all the teams that wanted me. And I know the offers that were out there because of that summer, a couple months ago.
Right.
So you can't tell me that you just got your money's worth sending me to Heat for, X amount of dollars, and Rafa on the national team. I love him, right? I love Rafa. This is actually crazy. The day before I got traded, I was talking highly about Rafa to everyone at the airport, including the coaching staff. So that was also like, I just talked very highly of this guy, and he just took my job. So it was more of like it was just everything was so full circle, and that's why when I explain it to people, I'm like, man, it had to be spiritual, because a lot of people preach who they are as people or this and that, and, like I told you about, their reasonings to get rid of me, how I was double standard throughout multiple occasions, and then to be, pretty much backstabbed and given the option I was given to go to Harrisburg. He put me in a very, very deep hole that most people probably would have just curled up and played their games and finished out their contract or whatever and said, this is BS, and started talking bad or anything. And that's not really, instead I think that more fired me up to think that, okay, this guy thinks he can get away with, trying to send me to exile, get rid of my, I'm going in, I don't know, a prime is so, broad, right. But, I'm going into pretty important parts of my career. We don't get to play this game forever. And, I'm 26, 27 years old. I'm ready to take those next steps. So for you to do what you did, that put a lot of anger in my heart and a lot of sadness in my heart. But I don't, even the last game against them got chippy, but man, I love all those guys, and all those guys love me. And they, none of them are happy about the situation. None of them understand the situation. Some people are saying salary dump, this and that. Listen, there's a lot of guys on the same money I was on that are still there, that were being talked about way more. Again, I was in those meetings being asked what I thought.
Yeah.
At the same time, he's saying a very small comment. You two are on, you two aren't safe either. Very small comments, but at the same time, what's your opinion on this? What do you think about that? All these things. And I'm, like I told you, I'm texting these guys, listen, hey man, you're good. I just talked to him sleep. Because these guys aren't sleeping. No one's sleeping. So when I tell you that it's pins and needles, these guys are with their wives, these guys are with their families. For me, I have my dog. It's a way easier situation than guys with kids. Listen, my dog is my kid, but you know what I mean? It's way different. And so for these guys, it's man, this could change. This is going to, I need to do everything correctly, everything right. So all that went down. I met with the players the next morning at their training, and kind of talked to them and said my piece, said the truth, kind of brought some receipts with me on my phone just to be like, hey, whatever's said with what takes place, because I know a lot of people like to talk here to save their face and tell a lot of white lies just so they look better. This is me. This is what happened. And I showed all my teammates. I'm crying in front of my teammates, telling them this and that, saying sorry for the smallest of things, just because, I want everything cleared, and I don't want any animosity with any of them, because at the end of the day, I've said before, I'm a big relationship guy, and if you're on my team, if you're in my family, if you're in my circle, man, I'll die for you, But if you're not, I still care about you, but it's a little different. So once you're in that, and we're trading blood and sweat for each other, you're gonna know if I like you or if I don't like you. And like I said, all those guys, all of their reactions were super, just like mine, or like a family member was just taken type thing. And they all understand the day in and day out of what was being put on our plate, what was being said, and looking back, I don't regret it. I'd love to say thank you to the Tropics to getting me out of there, because, like I said, I just became a lot of things that I thought were normal are not normal, and the way they just treat people there, and not treat people there, but the threats. You can't expect those guys to be performing after you say that to them. So yeah, just the double standard is what hurt me, and I'm not going to share the. Once I went to Harrisburg to comments, that's a whole nother story that really doesn't even need to be said. The more how it all started and how it happened was very shocking to not just me, but to everyone. So, yeah.
So I'm gonna couple questions real quick. Yeah. So they never sat down and said, Zach, we need more out of you this year. You're a captain, you're a leader. We need you to put in another goal every game or something. They never said that.
No, it was more. I was ready for my challenges coming into the year as a captain. I like being a leader. I like doing that because it's hard for me to keep my mouth shut.
I can't imagine.
So as long as if I'm saying the right things, for sure. If I'm saying the wrong things, kick me in the butt and say, dude, shut your mouth. But yeah, there was no conversations like that. There was, hey, this captain, make sure the team's not speaking Portuguese. This captain, hey, just make sure you're up for every game, ready to go. Things I've already pride myself on. And, I was like, all right, so I guess that's all he wants from me, but, what can I still do for myself and what can I still benefit the team? How can I benefit the team? So, yeah, those conversations, I wish they did take place, to be honest. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I told you I wanted to be traded. I mean, I didn't want to be traded. I am someone who's very, a lot of people have a lot of goals on their whiteboard. And for me, I'm a very simple, there's my 3 goals. And now one of them, feels unfinished. Not in regards to the end result, but with the brothers who I was with. I mean, I was their leader, or one of their leaders, and they know I took pride in that. So for me, of that unfinished feeling, I hate that. I can't control it. I have to learn that I can't control that. But yeah, end of the day, it's worked out. I got to play them. His number was 5. I got to get 5 on him. That was pretty.
Karma?
I can't. That was pretty. I don't know if I was blinking during that game. I don't know if I wasn't staring at their bench during that game. If I wasn't playing defense, it was a very. The trade happened Thursday night. The game was Friday.
Right.
I was talking to Kansas City, pretty fired up, talking to Bud, just like, all right, if you're the ones that are getting me, I need to be there now because you guys play them in about 8 hours. Like, let's go. And they're like, okay, well, are you sure you want to? And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't ate. I'm down 8 pounds. This is just, I'm going to be there, and hopefully it goes the right way. But I need to do something physical for all the emotion that's taken place in me. And for me, there's a lot of deep breaths taken before that game because, just of the little bit of story I've told you, that angered me. And, I felt truly betrayed throughout that whole thing. And the fans, people always hate that there's not a lot of fans there, but the fans that are there are great people. And honestly, if those little amount of people don't come, yes, it's the same faces, but if they don't come, there's no faces.
Right.
So you got to respect that, and you still have to show up and be there like you're seeing them for the first time. And I think the fans also know, and you can see a little bit on Facebook, but I think the fans also are wondering what's going on. And for me, it's just like the trade's over with. It should be done, talked about. And I should not be still getting calls from season ticket holders, from teammates, from third parties, just having people talking about me still that are just to save your face because what you're reasoning, you told me and everyone else is, because you're not producing. Okay, if that's the case, I need you to tell everyone that. Don't change your story to save your face.
And that was one of my next questions is when we first talked, you didn't really want to go. It felt like you didn't want to go into a ton of detail about what happened, and you're still processing it. Obviously now you're going into far more detail, maybe not everything, but way more detail. Is it because things have been still being said about you in social media or elsewhere, and that's why you're wanting to be a little more open about it now?
Yeah, I don't get me wrong. The second it happened, I wanted to take to Facebook Live but that's extremely immature. And again, you play professional sports. End of the day, was the trade done, quote unquote, wrong in the eyes of contracts for the MASL? No. But everyone also knows, that conversation that took place about, okay, is there an agreement that you'll go to this place? Because if you won't go, now they're not going to send what they want.
All right.
So now, like, it just doesn't happen. So usually how trades work in this league is you get a verbal agreement. Hey, will you go there? You will go there? Okay, well, we're going to trade you there, and then you guys get the details or whatever. Because if this was millions of dollars, I'd still be playing in Harrisburg Heat.
Right.
Because then it's like, okay, well, this sucks, but I'm still collecting a huge check, so let's go to Harrisburg, right? But it's not like that. So that's why there's always that level of respect, that level of you'll go, he'll go, everyone's works out, everyone's good. Okay, let's go, let's make this move. So my first thought was to go, I want to go, because I was going to be done playing. I told him, I was like, listen, I'm not going to go play in Harrisburg. I'd rather retire. I'll go play Chicago leagues. I'll do futsal national team. There's more soccer in the world. Honestly, but MASL, like, I want to do it. I want to play. But with what you guys are giving me, it's hard for me to, I'm not going to go there happy. You know, I just got my life turned upside down because one guy talked for me and told someone I wanted to be somewhere. And then now I have to live through that. I mean, I just signed 2 or 3 years. So now you want me to be stuck there? No. So just, I would say I'm more open to it now because I'm still being told things are being said about me. So after the Florida game, the first game against Kansas City, I try to do my best to kind of stay away from people that I wanted to grab by the neck for more or less.
And I was waiting for that. I had the camera ready just in case.
I know Kansas City has a lot of cameras, so I had to be on my best behavior. I already thought about it. I was like, oh, they got a good show over here. I gotta be smart here. But like I said, I'm good with all my teammates, so it's all fine. But you know, as he's approaching or someone's approaching, I'm like, you know, don't talk to me right now. No, don't come up to me. No, don't come up to me. And then still comes up to me, puts his arm around me, and he's just like, you just showed everyone that this trade was bad move, XYZ, this isn't personal. And right when he said it isn't personal, I just kind of interrupted him and just told him I didn't agree with those statements. And, you know, I'll see you next week. And it's hard to, you know, speak how you want to speak or, you know, do what you want to do when they're literally touching you, when you know, you've got this guy's face on your mirrors in your car. I mean, it's just, yeah, at a loss of words. So that happened, and I was still okay with not doing what I'm doing right now because, you know, it's sports, and I get it. But when you start coming at my morals and character, start telling people I'm a bad person, start telling other organizations that I'm a cancer to the locker room, tell this organization I'm a cancer to the locker room, or you don't want me, or I'm a head case, things like that, there's gonna be a problem there, because it's a difference telling them I'm not producing or keeping it soccer related. But now the things I pride myself on, you are coming at 100 miles an hour. And that is what I'm not okay with. I should not be arriving in Kansas City and hearing, oh yeah, this and that. Not like, you are feeding more fire, more wood to the fire. So now that one game I had 5 goals against you, that's all my emotion. But now this emotion is every day now, because I'm having random numbers call me. Random people call me, hey, I just talked to this person. Did this happen? And now I keep hearing those things, and I'm at camp, national team camp, having a relaxing, seeing new faces, just kind of getting away from the indoor game. I'm kind of finding my feet again, just being around good people, just getting away from it. And I'm still getting messages or calls, or I see the interview on the Tropics thing, and it's just super vague, and I'm just like, don't tell me one thing and then change it every other time you're talked to, just to make it look better. So that's where I decided to speak up a little bit. And still, I'm not going to talk. I'm just telling the truth of the story of what happened. I'm not veering off to other years or anything like this. Is in regards to the trade, I feel completely backstabbed, completely double standard. And if I felt that way by myself, I would look in the mirror a lot, and I have. I'm like, all right, Zach, do you have a right to be this mad? Do you, like, because I don't want to just freak out, right? But now when I have other players from the league calling me, people in my teammates call me saying this is the worst thing that's happened to a player in 30-something years, because a lot of them know the whole story. It's like, okay, wait a second. Like, this is messed up. And no one's going to, like, I need to defend myself a little bit. And I was at Harrisburg when things were, I didn't want to stir any feathers when I was in Harrisburg, because, you know, I didn't want to stay there. And then now that I have found a new home, and things are still being said, that's why I just want to get my part of the story regarding the trade out. So whoever people are as individuals, they are. But in regards to the trade, if you hear anything differently, I don't know what you should think. And if you think that, you know, my story's not credible, please, please, please talk to a current Tropics player, talk to anyone who knows me as a person, and they will tell you. And our stories will line up incredibly the same. So for me, it hit me more when season ticket holders were calling me from the Tropics asking if this or that happened. And that's when I was like, all right, I got to say something. So,
well, and I appreciate you doing it here. I mean, you know, part of me always worries about making sure that you have a voice, but also don't say anything that might get you in trouble at a later point too. So, I guess how are you? I don't really know how to ask this question, so I'm going to kind of be stumbling over a little bit. But mentally, you know, how are you doing now? I mean, mental health-wise, I mean, you've had some time to process it. You're getting finally settled down a little bit. I know you're still angry, obviously. You know, do you feel like you're starting to get into a better place mentally right now?
I'll be honest, I've been extremely exhausted and drained from a mental standpoint, just in regards to, like I said, I wasn't really eating during this time. That's just kind of how I handle things. That's not anyone else's doing but myself, just full of anxiety or stress. I just, you know, it's just what some people eat a lot. I just don't eat. And that obviously plays into the role of me being exhausted and drained. But, you know, I'm not eating because my spit doesn't even taste like spit, because I'm on the phone from, you know, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. with the commissioner, other people. So my head's kind of just been like dull, and my body's just kind of just getting me to where I need to go. I mean, I drove from Florida to here, you know, didn't bring all my stuff, had to bring some stuff. I mean, no one even understands all the little details. Like, even if it was going perfectly, the transition, you'd still be drained. So a lot of things did not go perfectly. And then you have camp, and then you have national team camp, then you have the game against Florida, then you play in Florida. And then it's like, man, like, when can I just, like, I'm not usually someone who's like, man, I need to take a second. But, like, I think I finally got to sleep the past 2 days we had off. And so now, to answer your question, I am turning the corner for sure, but I would say that was of yesterday, because even when you're here, I mean, one training before a game, you're just, you know, new faces. I'm a new face on this team. Just got rid of a lot of people. Like, just a lot going on besides just soccer. Like, people have relationships with people, so it's just like exhaustion, drained. I'm excited for a nice vacation in the summer, hopefully, but I am more than ready. I also feel like a born-again soccer player throughout all of this. You know, I could have stayed and not been happy, but I fought out of it, and I tried to get to a place where everyone could benefit from it. And by the grace of God, I ended up here, and like I said, I feel like a born-again. Like you stated, I'm angry, and even before this...
A little understandable, I mean...
No.
Yeah.
Even before this, I like to consider, like, always play with a controlled rage and passion. That's something I like to say, and kind of this just enhanced just that drive, that animal inside, just to be like, okay, well, let's do this then. You think everyone's replaceable? I'm gonna show you that everyone's not replaceable, or I'm gonna give it all, and hopefully I get the success for the team I want or that we need, but I'm going to give it all, and everyone's going to see that. So new environment always helps sometimes to just open your eyes to some things.
And what has been different about coming to the Comets, and how have they welcomed you? And is that kind of helping the healing process?
Winning always helps.
Yeah, it does.
And the first game was probably the most spiritual, dreamt. I mean, as a player, you couldn't really ask for a better game from a standpoint of the numbers that happened, it being my old team, and it being at home in front of, I think it was like 4,000 fans. But not only that, from the standpoint of coming here and what's been different, I mean, it's not every day a new player that day gets to take a PK. And the captains and the team, I mean, they opened the door. They pretty much said, here, we're welcoming you in, and you can take it, and you can do what you want with it. So they opened the door, and it was just my job to, walk through it. And
just not to interrupt, but I do think that was kind of a little special moment when John Sosa had the ball and he called you over and said, here, you take it. And there's like that welcome, like you're part of the team now.
Because for me, I mean, some people think I cheer out of excitement because I'm trying to, I say I touched the ball or something, or like to score a goal or something. Like I love it when my teammates score, and I love it when we get like Junior, I think, got us that blue card, and I was just like, man. The whole time I'm like, man, this guy's so fast. This guy's so fast, so fun to watch, so fun to watch. And then boom, he gets his blue card. And the new rules, not everyone can just run on the field, but I want to pick him up and be like, dude, sweet, let's go. Like, that's awesome. And then for Sosa, we all get together and, someone said, Zach, take it. And I'm like, no, man, like, don't change anything. Like, don't change anything. Like, just keep going. Keep doing your guys' thing. Like, I'll get in this. Like, keep on. He's like, no, go take it. Go take the PK. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go take the PK. So then I think that
you didn't argue too long.
No, I didn't argue too much because I was excited. But, I mean, I credit them because that opened the door for me to have the game that I had. I mean, if I don't have that situation, who knows what takes place, because that gave me a lot of confidence. Not saying I didn't have it, but it's nice to see the ball go in on a new team and everyone's like, okay, kind of that breath of fresh air.
And then next thing have 4,000 fans cheer for you.
Yeah, and then it's all about, you got to come into a new space humble and respect everyone and just gain that respect through playing with them. You can't just come in and say, well, I have X amount of regulars, whatever. You can't come in and say that. You can't. We're grown men. You can't just go to a new jungle and run the jungle. You got to gain respect and however that is. So I'm very excited to work with these guys, and, they're all dogs, whether that means 0 goals or 30 goals in the year. It's not what I mean by that. These guys don't want to lose. These guys are competitors, and that's an edge that a lot of these teams really don't fully have. Some of them will have the technical, fancy, and then a couple players who are like that. Well, here, everyone's a dog for the most part, and then you can work on the other things. But if you have that mentality, that already, I mean, you see it. These guys battle. And now it's, okay, how can we put the battle in the win columns? How can we take some of these steps, some of these details? So they've been great, to be honest. And they got, like I said, a lot of things happened for me to get here. And as a player on the outside, that could irritate you. But honestly, I haven't felt any of that since being here. And, I mean, I went from one house to the next house, and I'm starting to get settled in, and these guys are here training. I mean, we have off days, and these guys are here. And usually I'm just the one here. And I'm here, and I'm like, okay, wait a second. I'm not too happy someone beat me here in the morning. Now I'm going to come even earlier. Like, it's just that little competitive fire that I can see just runs off of each other, builds off each other. There's 3 or 4 guys working here before even training, and I'm like, man, I love this. I love this. Coming from having 11 guys at training for 4 years, 3 of them being keepers, or 14 players, to now having that, to having this facility. The soccer dome, this is, I mean, we're playing in Baltimore. They got a small field. We can train like Baltimore. We got a normal size field. You got a futsal court. I mean, it's unlimited access for the most part to the players. So it's just like, those are the things I'm like, man, that's normal. That's awesome.
That's a good normal.
Yeah. And that's something that it's like, okay, the office is giving you guys the tools. Go do it. Instead of, here's all the talent in the MASL on one team. Figure it out. And now it's like, here's the tools. Go do your job. If you don't do your job, then we'll talk. But they're giving the tools. And it's there's really no excuses in regards to at least just making sure you're trying to do your job. So.
All right. I've had you on here for a long time, man, and you've said a lot of what I think you wanted to say, which is good. But just kind of to summarize, not summary, that's not a good word. They didn't tell you before the trade. They never came to you and said you needed to perform better. They never came and said your attitude is bad, you need to fix it. None of this type of stuff. It just out of the blue, and even would have let that settle, but if it wasn't for people keep saying things, you probably would have let that settle.
I would have let it all settle, but once it's not soccer anymore and it's about my character, who I am as a person, it's not easy to take a deep breath throughout the day. I think we all know that. So, and to have it be at a stage of where, it's enough people to where it can make an impact on my life. That's, if it's the same 11 people or the same 2 guys, like, all right, that's what you think, whatever, I'm not going to waste my time. But when people are reaching out to me still and I'm just like, man, like I let this go, they still can't let this go because it still doesn't make sense. Like, yeah. So I appreciate you having me on here and being able to, talk a little bit about it. I don't regret my time there. I had a great time there when I was there.
You had a great career. I mean, the Tropics were, the standard in the East for the last 3 years, and you were one of, if not the big reason for it. I mean, I know there's other guys there, but this is why it never made sense. Like, oh, you weren't performing well enough. Like, yeah, he was only the top 2 scorer for his team in the top 10, top 8, top 6 the last 4 years. Because I heard about this trade before it was announced, and I'm like, really? And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm remembering the right guy, right? Like, yeah, the Comets have gotten a goal scorer that can compete with Leo. That's 2 guys that should be in the top 10 goal scoring every single year. I mean, John Sosa also, Lucas Sosa. These are all guys who can compete in that top 10, top 5.
And I will say this, there was a lot of, I'm pretty sure Harrisburg had an open book to who they could trade with in regards to that. But
now that they needed players. They
needed players. I mean, there was other things that were thrown around, but moral of the story, now that I'm here, my eyes weren't as open as they should have been when it all happened. But now that I'm actually seeing things and looking for positives, I mean, the game plan and style fits the targets here a lot. It's go forward. You have a elite passer in Sosa. I mean, elite.
Right.
And Leo's back there with great vision. Ray Lee's elite. Sousa's elite. All these guys are, Rion's elite. I mean, all these guys are really good players. And now the system that I didn't know from the outside and what they preach every day, it's like, okay, wait a second. This could be really fun because I'm coming from a system who wants me to score 5 goals, but they're telling me to play behind the goalie. It's going to be hard to do.
Right.
So now that they're just the trust, the feeding, just go forward. We'll keep the ball at times, of course, but let's go forward. Let's attack. And even with Palmer, Nacho, all those guys in the middle, just doing all the work. Like there's a lot of good pieces here that I'm extremely excited to work with. That I'll be honest, I didn't see when I first signed because I was just so angry and just not seeing straight. I was seeing in a lens of negativity, and then once I have gotten here and I've seen change my lens back to how I usually look at things in life. I'm super excited to play with these guys. Like I said about being dogs, and then you add some of these veterans, and it's just like, okay, let's not waste this time. Let's not waste this time at all. So, I mean, thank you Harrisburg Heat as well for like working with me, honestly, and realizing at the end of the day, I mean, because they could have kept my rights for who knows how long. So for them to, look at the player as well and, realize the situation, of course, at the end of the day, they came up as well. I think all of us got, it worked out for me.
Well, I think in some fairness, I mean, thanks to them for doing what was right for you. But, I mean, you went in and played 2 games for them with not being probably in your best mental state and scored, I think, a goal a game for them. And, again, no offense to Harrisburg, but they are a team that needed players. They need to have more quality. And, again, not trying to downplay what they are trying to do every day. But that was with a team that wasn't very good, scoring a goal a game, 2 games, and then with the mental state you're in. So they did the right thing, and you did the right thing, at least in that case. So, yeah. All right, man. Anything else I should be smart enough to ask you today? It's been a long one, which is okay.
No, I'm more. I mean, thank you again for getting me on here, and I can share it. I'm sure there'll probably be some comments or a little whatever, but thank you for letting me say my piece. I'm hoping to put this in the back seat. I feel relieved I even got to talk on it, so thank you for that. And
hopefully getting it out will also, it was a little bit of a long dump there for you, but that's okay. Hopefully that helps. And again, from a guy who barely knows you, I just want to make sure that you get in that right good mental space, and that's why I was asking about it. You seem to be turning that corner.
And for me, like, I try not to worry about what people think about me, but when it gets Captain Zach Reget is traded to Heat. I mean, the first thing of fans too, it's like, what did he do?
Yeah.
What did he do? And for me, it's like, even if whoever says that's not the case, if I'm scrolling and I see that and be like, wait, what? Like, what did he do? Yeah. And how do we get him?
Well, I figured either you had to piss somebody off, or they just were going to get a lot of money for you. I mean, because when you, again, no disrespect to Florida fans, but when you pull in 900 fans or whatever a game, there's money issues too sometimes. So I don't know what the deal is there. I'm never going to try to do a pod on financial situations in MASL because it's too confusing.
But even if it was a financial situation, I mean, you took that. I know that's not the best deal you could. You had me and Taylor Bond. Taylor Bond is an elite player in this league. He's been in the league for a long time. People want to diminish that. That is not the case. And
they could have also talked to you and said, "Hey, we really need cash. You're a guy that we can sell. Somebody wants you. Here's why.
Where will you go?"
And that would have been a completely different situation.
And I can respect that situation because at the end of the day, it's professional sports. So I can respect that. What I don't respect is the behind the back, is the backstabbing, is really just negative people with power, taking people's careers and doing whatever they want. And for me, I'm extremely blessed that, God gave me that motivation to realize that, one, Zach, this place isn't right for you. The place that we were just sent isn't right for you. You feel that in your heart. Just keep going, and, we'll get out of this together. So, end of the day, thank you to Florida. Thank you to Harrisburg. I'm happy where I'm at. I feel like a new player in regards to just mentality, and I feel the anger. Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying to you if I'm not more motivated than other years, just because of what's happened. I'm going to take a lot of pride in making sure we finish ahead of the Tropics in the regular season, and and making sure they're
hopefully host them in the playoffs.
Making sure they watch us at some point this season as they're out and we're still in, whether that's whenever that is. I'll feel pretty happy with that. I usually don't get into all the make sure we finish ahead of this person or XYZ, but they decided to make it personal. So we can do that, and I'm more than okay with that. I'm not going to seek that, but at the same time, we're not going to back down. And, when I first got into this locker room, to wrap it up, the locker rooms are close to each other in Kansas City, and I think I spurted some words over to the other locker room. Nothing crazy. Didn't swear at them or anything, just something like, I'm going to see you tonight or something like that. And I open the locker room, 2 guys are laughing, another guy says one thing, and, Leo is, he says, by the way, like, we're ready to go to war with you. And that, gave me chills, goosebumps, because I haven't really talked to anyone yet. They all know not really any of the ins and outs, but they know there's animosity, and the first thing that they say is pretty much, hey, listen, we're ready to go to war. You're our brother now. Let's go to battle. And right when I heard that, it's like, okay, let's go to battle together. And, I see that we're going to have a good chemistry. And since that point, it's been great. So some of the guys talk, and they said, too, that they've seen some good things ever since everything went down. So hopefully everything was good, stirred up enough feathers, but not too much. And, hopefully I can just be here for a while, and we can start having this Kansas City Comets era come into the light. So
I have some high hopes for you and the Comets, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. So again, thank you for getting me on here. Thank you for letting me talk. Everyone, I'm not a terrible person.
Again, I don't really know you that well, but I don't think you are.
Yeah.
I think you're pretty intense and dedicated and focused, and I think those are all fair words to use, don't you?
Yeah.
So I think maybe the intensity might come across the wrong way to some people at some times. I mean, I could see opposing fans may not like you for some of that, but that's also part of the game. I mean, some of the best players are hated by the other teams until they're on that team. So. And
we love that. I mean, in Florida, we loved away games more than home games just because of. I mean, we'd go to Utica and it'd be, beers or people saying whatever, and you turn around as an 11-year-old kid, you're like, what did you just say to me? Like, what? And then, but after the game, everyone. Everyone's, I still go shake hands with everyone. Is still good sports after the game. During the game, I mean, that's why we're all here. Get a little out, whether you're on the field or off the field. Like, you're just trying to have some fun, and whatever that is to you, it is. And as long as at the end of the day, everyone can shake hands, smile, say, see you next week, it's awesome. So
after one of your goals the other day, in Kansas City, they hand out little blue balls that you guys sign, and you throw them into the crowd or hand them to fans. I saw you go over and hand it to a little old lady there in the front row. Was you like winning over the old lady crowd now?
I'm trying to do my best to interact with everyone and just kind of. I haven't gotten to get my story out, so that's just who I am as a person. So for everyone on the outside, they see my game. They see those 3 hours, right. That snippet. So I want to show myself who I am as a person the most in that time period. So whether it's giving an old lady ball or giving my mom giving her a ball, giving a little kid a ball, eating popcorn when someone's on the ground,
Yeah.
Or signing an autograph there. And, that's all playful. That's all fun as long as, my head's where it needs to be. So, like you said, dedicated, intense, but I also, I can read a room and, the kids are there, make sure everyone's there enjoying. A lot of first row people see a lot of F-bombs, see a lot of negativity, see a lot of,
especially when playing Milwaukee.
Yeah, sport can be a dark place at times in regards to that, or bring out the worst in people. So for me, it's like, how can I show the opposite to people? Again, I'm not perfect. I do those things. And it's obviously easier to do these things when we're winning. But that's what I strive. I strive to show my true colors throughout that whole time. So, if you're in the front row, you might get a hug, you might get a flex, you might get a, let me get a sip of Coca-Cola. I mean, I don't know. It's just all improv.
No, and I don't want to keep it. I've kept you so long now already, man. I apologize, but that first game, and I know your family came down, and you got to celebrate at least one of those goals with your mom?
She always, sometimes I get carried away, and she's like, hey, remember I'm your mom. Like, let me get a ball, or, let me get a shirt one of these times, because, sometimes they get a back seat because you're like, you're my family, let me give it to someone else. But I'm like, all right, let me get my mom one. She just drove 9 hours. Like, let me get her a ball. So I got to be over there one time, but, again, it's more... And after I score or something like that, or a team scores, it's, let's celebrate real quick and then let's get right back into it. So for me, like, I train hard. We're intense. We battle each other. But if we have success, like, there needs to be some love and happiness as well. So, like, let's have a quick celebration. Let's do a quick little dance. Let's do whatever as a team. And then let's get back into it right away.
After Lucas scored the other night, I saw you went over and raised his hand like, he just won the championship match there.
I mean, did you see that goal?
Yeah.
I mean, that was a banger.
Really, I couldn't. No, it was so good. But again, speaking of your family, man, if I heard correctly, they were going to put him in a suite, but they said they wanted to be down in the stand so they could be around the other fans and come down when you scored.
Yeah, it's a sports family. They've all coached. My dad's always coached. My brother is super. Everyone's competitive. We've always been competitive. So for them, it's more, the suite's nice, the food, all that, but, like, I want to hear what's going on. And for them, too, they knew they're not too happy with the front office in Florida as well. So for them, it was more, I think my mom was a little worried about what my actions were going to be. I think we all were. You got to behave for
mom, man, even no matter what age you are.
She kind of threw that out there, too. She was, I'm making this drive to make sure you don't do anything you're not supposed to. So, don't do anything you're not supposed to. So,
All right, so you have to reward Mom for listening to this podcast now and just tell her like how much you appreciate and love her or something, right?
yeah, she knows I love her. She knows
Okay.
she's the best mom in the world, so she already knows all that.
All right, well, it doesn't hurt to say it once in a while.
I love you, Mom.
All right. All right, okay. I think we could probably end on that, man. I appreciate the time, man. Talk to you, I guess, next week.
Yeah, whenever. So appreciate you.